If someone tries to commit suicide, there's a reason. If someone tries to hurt someone else, there's a reason. If someone is willing to work 18-hour days, there's a reason. If someone doesn't want to work, there's a reason. Now, here's the good news. Having dealt with literally tens of millions of people from hundreds of countries, or more than 100 countries to be accurate, I could be an idiot at this point and have to see there are patterns. There are patterns that'll make you angry and patterns that'll make you sad. There are patterns that'll excite you. There are patterns that'll make you grateful. The patterns that'll make you completely worried all the time. There are patterns that'll make you feel so absolutely certain you can run through an effing wall. Once you know what the patterns are, you can get rid of the ones that don't work and adopt some of the ones that do more often. And that's a good part of what we're gonna do the next few days to give you perspective. But the most important pattern to understand is why people do what they do. So as I told you, I've had a unique gift. I've had the chance to travel the world at this stage of life where literally the world is available to all of us in a few hours. But what I want you to understand is everybody has a reason for what they do, but the good news is there's only 6 reasons. There are lots of different stories, but I can tell you by experience being around the world, there's only 6 reasons. And those 6 reasons are called the 6 human needs. So what are these 6 needs? They are not goals, they are not desires. If you travel with me around the world, you'll see every culture has different goals, everybody has different desires, but we all have the same needs. What are they? Number 1 is the need for certainty. Certainty. Now, what the hell is certainty? Certainty is a survival need. We all need to feel certain that we can avoid pain and that ideally we can have some comfort. Why? Because continuous pain would mean continuous damage. Continuous damage eventually means death. So the need for certainty is built into every human being. All human beings have the same 6 needs, so why do we behave differently? Because the only thing different in people is 2 things. We all have the same 6 needs, but we don't value them equally. Some people's certainty is the number 1 thing they value. And if they're certainty driven and you try to change anything, they freak out. They get fearful or they get angry or they get pissed off because what matters most to them is keeping things the same way where they feel like they're in control. Some people, they value love much more than certainty. Some people value certainty more than love. So even though they love you, if they don't feel certain, they won't open completely. All right, just as one example. So the difference in people, we all have the same 6 needs. The difference is which of the top 2 you value most out of these 6. Because these top 2 determine your direction in life. And direction, if you keep moving in direction, it leads you to an ultimate destination or destiny. So we want to understand what your top 2 needs are. And same thing with other people. So now, if we know what these needs are and a person values them differently, we also have to find out 2 people could have the same need, but they have a different belief about what it takes to be loved, or a different need about what it takes to be certain. Some people to be certain need $10 billion. Some people to be certain just need to pray to God. Some people to be certain need to feel like they have 3 perfect children and they're there every day. Some people that feel certain because I've always figured it out. I don't know what's gonna happen, but I know I'll figure it out, because I always have. You can get certainty from your past, you get certainty from God, you get certainty by working out intensely, you get certainty by eating food. Too much food especially will put comfort in your body. If you overeat, all the blood goes in your stomach, you start breathing again. So we all need certainty. The only question is, it number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 on your list? And the second question is, what does your brain say has to happen to be certain? Some people have certainty that's impossible to meet. The young lady over here who was sitting in the chair before we intervened had a blueprint that's never gonna be met. It literally would make her unhappy regularly. So we gotta know what needs you're after and what's your blueprint. So the first need is certainty. How can we meet our need for certainty? We can do it in ways that are positive, neutral, or negative. I can get certainty in a heartbeat if all I wanna do is get really pissed off and freaked out about something. When you get angry, do you get certain, yes or no? You better believe it. So some people get angry all the time because it's their way to get certainty in a life that's uncertain. It has all kinds of negative side effects, but it works in the moment. So listen to me now. Most people meet their needs in a way that works in the moment, but not long term. So they feel good for a short time, like a sugar high, and then they drop emotionally, and they gotta do it again, whether it's food or smoking or drinking or whatever it is. They use a drug or alcohol or food or cigarettes or something to get comfortable, to get certainty back. But the problem is it has side effects long term. Works in the short term, doesn't the long term. So you could get certainty by overeating or smoking or drinking. What happens when you smoke a cigarette? Take a deep breath in and you blow it out nice and long and slow, full exhale. When most of you are stressed, how many have noticed that you either stop breathing or you breathe really shallow? How many have noticed this in the past? So you smoke a cigarette, and in the moment, it meets your need for comfort and certainty. It's killing you, but it works short term. That's how most people live their life. You can get certainty by working out. If you go on a run really intensely, or you go lift weights and you push yourself and all that blood starts pulsing through you, do you feel certain, yes or no? And what's the downside? Zero. So there are ways to meet your needs that are empowering, neutral, or disempowering. The parts of our life we don't like are problems. Why would we keep a problem? We're all capable of solving it. Why would we keep a problem? The only reason you have a problem that's stuck around is because it meets some of your needs. Not all of them, or you wouldn't want to get rid of it. But enough of them that it makes it hard to give up. It's kind of like, who's ever been in a relationship way too long? Let me see a show of hands. And how many knew it was wrong while you were there? Let me see a show of hands. So why the F did you stay there? Because of the uncertainty. Because, well, I'm not thoroughly happy. I'm kind of unhappy, but I might be worse if I was totally alone. What if this is the best one I'm ever going to get and I screwed it up? But what happened was most of you had that feeling, talked yourself back down into the relationship multiple times until one day you hit a threshold where your brain went, it was painful in the past, it's painful in the present, it's going to be painful in the future, I'm out of here. So there is a threshold that we can find, and if we find that threshold, we can break through it pretty damn easily. We can shift, we can get to where we really want to go. So what I want you to get is, of these 6 needs, we all find a way to meet them. The only difference again is which are your top 2 out of the 6, and I've told you certainty so far, and what are your beliefs or rules or what's your blueprint of how to get that? Her blueprint was please everybody, which is impossible, so it won't work. So let's take a look. What's the second human need? Well, first of all, you can get certainty in so many ways. You get certainty by praying to God. You can get certainty by doing a ritual the same way every time. You can get certainty by lowering your expectations, saying nothing ever works, nothing ever will, everybody screws things up. You'll lose your dream, but you'll gain your need. By the way, jot this down. People will give up their goals and dreams to meet their needs. People will give up their goals and dreams. They'll even give up their own values to meet their needs. I'll give you an example. How many of you in this room consider yourself to be an honest person, very honest person? Raise your hand if you consider yourself to be very honest. Raise your hand nice and high. Okay, drop your hand. Raise your hand if you lie. Let me see your hands if you lie. You can explain it to me, will you? Here's how it works. See, in your mind, you know who you are. Why would someone lie who values honesty? No one told you to be honest. You want to be honest. Because if you think being honest is going to cost you one of your needs like love or certainty, you'll lie. You'll call it a white lie, but you'll lie. Who knows what I'm talking about? Now, there's some people that never lie because they value certainty of always telling the truth so much. Right? It has to do with their rules or their belief structures. Does this make sense? So tell me something. You can meet the need for certainty so many ways, right? So here's the question. You can go ahead. Here's the question. What if you were certain every moment of your life what was going to happen before it happened? What if you knew what people are going to say before they're going to say it? What if you could feel what they're going to feel? What if you knew every moment before it happened what people are going to say and do? In the beginning, that would feel really exciting. But after a while, if you know what's going to happen, when it's going to happen, how it's going to happen, tell me what you're going to feel after a while. What are you going to start to feel? Tell me. What? Bored out of your mind. That's why God, in her infinite wisdom, gave us a second human need. And that second human need is uncertainty. We have a need for uncertainty. We have a need for surprise. We have a need for variety. In fact, what's the phrase? Variety is the what of life? Spice of life. Now, how many of you in this room, raise your hand, how many of you in this room love surprises? Raise your hand if you love them. Say I. Bullshit. You love the surprises you want. The surprises you don't want, you don't want. You call them problems, don't you? So don't tell me you like surprises. You like the surprises you want. Here's my point. Can you meet more than one need with the same action or emotion or belief system? Yes or no? Write this down. Anytime your mind perceives that doing something, believing something, or feeling something meets at least 3 of your needs. So anytime your mind perceives that doing something, feeling something, or believing something meets at least 3 of your needs, then you will become addicted to that thought, that feeling, that emotion, or that action. You can be positively addicted or negatively addicted, but you're going to be addicted. Anytime your brain perceives that something you believe, do, or feel meets 3 of your needs, you'll get addicted to it. Now, I'm going to show you why this is important. Let's look at 2 needs for a second. Is it possible to meet your need for certainty and uncertainty simultaneously, even though they're opposite needs? Yes or no? I'll give you an example. Who here has ever rented a movie that you've already seen? Let me see a show of hands. Get a life. Now, I've done it too. Why would we rent a movie we've already seen? We'd rent it, why? Because we've seen it before, so we're certain it's good, and we're hoping it's been so long we forgot enough that it'll be variety when we watch it again. So you can meet both needs, but if you meet 3 needs, you will become addicted to that behavior. Whether it's a good behavior or bad behavior, doesn't matter. It'll be a positive addiction or negative addiction, but you'll be addicted. So let me give you, how do you get variety? You can get variety in positive ways, negative ways, or neutral ways. You can get variety by learning, growing, taking on a new goal, a new challenge. You can get variety through a conversation with a friend. You can get variety by praying to God. There's so many ways to get variety, aren't there? But you can also get variety in negative ways. You can smoke a joint, and maybe that's not a negative way, but it sure will change your state. But it has side effects, right? During that time, you're not going to function maybe at the same peak or understanding. Or some people use other things, cigarettes, alcohol, anything. There's so many ways to get variety. The question is, are your ways positive, neutral, negative, or empowering? How many follow? Because we all have ways of getting that variety, that uncertainty.